Greetings folks, and I hope you are all floating like butterflies wherever you are in collecting land. And welcome back to the channel for another episode of Grail or Fail. For the uninitiated, Grail or Fail is where we revisit a 1/6 scale figure widely considered to be a classic and find out if it still holds up today. So it's seconds out for Iqonic Studios' take on the legend that is Muhammad Ali. Usual format folks, a close-up with the figure, followed by a final verdict, and then we'll be wrapping the whole thing up with the usual showcase at the end. But before the bell goes for round one, I'd like to send the usual shout out to everyone who supported Go Figure, and be sure to drop a like on this video as it helps other people find the channel. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you don't miss any of the 1/6 scale news, views and reviews that we've got coming up. And trust me, there's a lot of it. So, Iqonic released their take on Muhammad Ali on the cusp of 23-24, I think it was. And this is probably one of the most recent figures ever to feature on Grail or Fail. But without further ado, let's get ready to rumble and find out if Iqonic Studios' take on Muhammad Ali is a grail or a fail. Okay folks, so it's time for Tale of the Tape. Let's get up close and personal with Mr. Ali and find out if Iqonic Studios have given us a world champion or not. We'll start with that base. Now, collectors of Iqonic Studios figures will recognise this base instantly. It's that sort of hollow circular plastic base going on there with the nameplate on the front. You've got Muhammad Ali's signature going on there, and on top of that you've got this super high gloss circular section with this sort of crest design going around the edges there. That crest design is actually reflected in the minibus that we'll take a look at shortly, and also on the packaging as well. In the center there it says Muhammad Ali. It is super high gloss, so prone to scratching, so if you're thinking of picking this piece up or you already have it in your collection, be careful of that. The boots themselves are hard plastic, which can cause scratches on there. Also as well, worthy of note at this point, this figure does come with a dynamic flight stand. Unfortunately, or that stand I don't use, simply because this piece is it's a TB lead body, and it's got the metal endoskeleton going on in there, which gives it some real heft. So it can pretty much freestand without the need for that, without that dynamic pole. Which, to be honest with you, I would be concerned about running the risk of damaging this rubber stroke silicone body. But we'll get to the body. Let's take a look at the boots. The boots themselves are sculpted plastic, really nicely done here from Iqonic. The colour is right. The sculpted in laces are really well done. That design on the side there that you can see is completely accurate. No split cut boot design here, so it can limit posability a little bit. They're simply pegged onto the legs themselves. But what I do like about these boots is the subtle weathering that Iqonic have done here. Not only does it make them look ever so slightly not brand new, but it also helps pick out the crease work in the sculpt on the side of the boots as well. So yeah, really nice boots. Inside those boots you've got these cotton socks, very nicely done. These elasticated socks, stitch work is really good. They've got that black stripe across the top there, which is completely accurate. Also worth mentioning actually as well, at this point you do get a pair of swap out boots. Got the accessories here, so we'll take a quick look at them. You get these alternate boots. Now these boots have got a slight kink in them, which means that you can actually have the figure stepping forward into a punch, or leaning on the back foot with his back foot cocked. So yeah, it gives you more possibilities for the display, and once again it's the same level of sculpt and paint application going on there. Really nice work with that insignia on the right hand side there. So yeah, might as well look at the other accessories while we're here. You get some swap out hands. Not gloved hands these, the gloved hands are obviously on the figure. These are just wrapped hands. The wraps themselves really nicely done, really nicely sculpted and painted, as are the fingers on the hands. No real flexibility. There is a bit of give in these hands, but not a massive amount of flexibility, but you don't need it really because he's not gripping any accessories. So yeah, the wrapped hands themselves really nicely done, and you also get a robe as well, a toweling robe, really nicely stitched, nicely put together, and it says Muhammad Ali on the back there. So yeah, those are the accessories. Back to the figure. So moving up, let's talk about this body. Now, as I mentioned before there, this body was custom made for this figure by TB League, and I've got to say, it is very, very nicely done. The muscularity, the proportions, the skin tone, the texture, all nailed on there from TB League. I think they've done a cracking job with this body. Let's get him a little bit closer into shot there. As you can see there, the muscularity in the legs, spot on. Aficionados of Ali will recognise the shape, quite a unique shape that Ali had. What I think Iqonic Studios have done here, and we'll talk about this when we look at the head sculpts probably a little bit more as well, is I think they've gone for an Ali of around about 23 years old, around about the time when he fought Sonny Liston for the second time. And knocked him out. Now, at that moment, he knocked Sonny Liston out, or he knocked him down rather. There was a photographer at ringside who captured the moment that Ali stood over Sonny Liston and shouted at him to get up and fight, sucker. And I think that's what Iqonic, that particular moment, Iqonic have gone for with this head sculpt here. But we'll take a look at both the head sculpts, but the body itself, we'll just have a quick whiz round the body. Yeah, beautiful skin tone and texture there, beautiful muscularity, as you can see in the back area there as well. Just absolutely on point. However, there is an elephant in the room. We'll talk about it now. The eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed in the intro section to this video this particular issue here. Now, I have never had this figure in a particularly dynamic pose. The most dynamic pose is the one that you saw at the intro there. Now, unfortunately, it has fallen foul of what a lot of these bodies, these rubber stroke silicone bodies, seamless bodies have in common, unfortunately, and that is and I'm going to actually have to put the camera down at this point just so I can show you this. We're going to drop the camera down here, and I'm just going to bend this arm ever so slightly, and you can see where it's starting to rip and tear there. And literally, that is the most dynamic pose he has ever been in since I had him out the box. So yeah, it's unfortunate that it's fallen foul of that issue there. You can see the rips and the tears starting, and yeah, that will not improve and pretty much can't be repaired. So I'm going to put it back into a slightly more neutral position, and that is literally probably somewhere between maybe 7 degrees off perpendicular, and that's already started to rip there. So yeah, dynamic posing with this figure, unfortunately, although it's capable of doing it, I don't think is really on the cards, which is a shame. But we will cover that in the final verdict. These shorts, really, really nicely done. Very simple, but their simplicity belies their complexity. The stitch work, really, really nice. The accuracy is on point there. It's that super high gloss sort of nylon material with the black flash down the side and the slight split there. Obviously been made in conjunction with Everlast, this figure, because you see Everlast logo in the center there on the elasticated waistbands. It's also evident on the gloves, which is nice to see, and these gloves are really, really well sculpted. They're all plastic, but I think the sculpt work here, in particular on those lace-up sections there where it's tied around the wrist area, really, really nicely done. Super vibrant, and that red paint application really does come off as leather under this light. So yeah, cracking job with the gloves. The body itself, really nice, and that head sculpt. Let's take a look at that head sculpt. Now, where to begin with this? I think Iqonic Studios have done a sterling job here. There isn't an angle where this isn't Muhammad Ali for me. I think they've done a phenomenal job here. The skin tones and textures nailed on. That sculpt of that iconic moment, they've captured beautifully. Those eyes with the slight squint. What you can see of the eyes is super glassy, and you've got that expression where he's looking off down to the left. The mouth is open. The sculpt and detailing on those teeth is wonderful, as is that mouth guard. That tongue has got a wet paint application to give it that wet look, which is great. The hair itself, spot on. Colour tone and texture, just about perfect. There isn't an angle, as I say, from on this head sculpt where it isn't Ali for me. It is absolutely nailed on by Iqonic, that one. But this isn't the only head sculpt it comes with, and you also get, and which is a great inclusion, I think, from Iqonic Studios, is the mini bust, and we'll just take a quick look at that. Actually, I think they did a cracking job here. Now, we often see this with some Batman figures, where if you get a swap out head sculpt, I'll get it under this slide, you'll get this sort of bust type stand. But I think its inclusion was a great idea from Iqonic. You've got this sort of hollow plastic stand section on the front. You've got that crest once again. This time it's been done in a sort of gold and green colour to give it that patinaed look, which is really nice. And then you've got the bust section of the body. Now this differs from the body of the main figure. This is done in a hard plastic rather than the silicone stroke rubber, and because it's done in that hard plastic, and I'm just going to put it alongside the figure at this point, you can see you can actually capture more detail in that when you use that hard plastic, and it's more HD than the rest of the figure itself. But that's the nature of the material that was used, and it's just beautifully done, even down to dare I say his nipples being more defined than on the figure itself. But and it looks like there's a deviation in skin tone, or a variation in skin tone here, but there isn't actually, or if there is, it's ever so slight. But I think that's a lot to do with the lighting that I've got here. We've got some very bright white LEDs to pick up all the details. So yeah, it's pretty much identical. But yeah, let's take a look at the second of these two head sculpts now. I've got to say that is, I don't know which one I prefer. I think this one is brilliant as well. A brilliant capturing of 23-year-old Ali. Sculpt is nailed on there. Skin tones, skin textures, those super glassy eyes. The hair is of the same standard as the main head sculpt. Well, I wouldn't say it's the main head sculpt. Really, it's your choice, whichever you use. I mean, swaps out relatively easily. Obviously not a fixed neck head sculpt here. I mean, there is a slight issue that I had with this figure, and I know some other collectors did as well when they first picked it up. Not everybody, but in that neck area, obviously the way that TB lead bodies work, there is a connector which goes into the main frame of the body itself. Mine was a little loose, so getting the heads on and off can be a bit problematic. The amount of pressure that you actually have to put on to get it to try and stay in, because it's a bit janky, means you're having to put pressure on the body itself, and that's the last thing you want to do, is be over stressing this body, because we've already seen what can happen to it when when too much pressure is put on it. So yeah, that can be a little bit of an issue, but not a massive one. But overall, I think this really, as I say, I cannot pick out my favourite of these two head sculpts. I think that's wonderful, and I do like this little bust. And as a companion piece to the main figure itself, I think it's fantastic. So there you have it, folks. That is Iqonic Studios' take on Muhammad Ali. So I think it's time to go over to the judges for a final decision. Is this piece a grail, or is it a fail? Okay, folks, so the judges' decisions are in. Are we looking at a grail or a fail? I think this is probably going to be one of the hardest decisions I ever have to make in the history of Grail or Fail, in the history of the channel. Let's start with the good stuff. The accessories, absolutely on point. The base, the robe, the swap out boots, the swap out hands, excellent. The shorts are great, beautifully tailored, really well done, screen accurate. The gloves are fantastic. Skin tone, skin textures, proportions, all nailed on. two amazing head sculpts, two head sculpts that I can't fault. The inclusion of this mini bust as a spare head sculpt holder as well, I think is phenomenal. I think there is absolutely nothing at all I can complain about here bar one thing, and it is a huge thing, unfortunately. Let's get to it. It's the material that's been used in the body. Now, I'm a big fan of TB League and the bodies they produce. Got a lot of them in the collection, use them for a lot of figures. However, when is an action figure not an action figure? Well, when you can't pose it. And as I mentioned earlier on, this figure from new has never been in a dynamic pose. It literally has only ever had that arm bent to maybe 7-8 degrees maximum, and yet still it has it's split very badly down that left arm. And you know, if you're going to buy a figure like this and display, it says action figure on the box, and the whole point to me is that you can switch out the poses, you can have dynamic poses, and particularly a figure like this, Muhammed Ali, he begs to be put in a fighting pose. But when you can't do that, when you have to have him in a vanilla pose or a neutral pose like this all the time, you might as well buy a statue. It defeats the object of action figure for me. So that puts me in a really difficult place. Everything else is absolutely nailed on as far as I'm concerned. Everything that we've covered. I can't find any faults with this. Maybe swapping out those head sculpts can be a little bit problematic, and maybe this 1 or 2 degree variation in skin tone from the bust and the head sculpt to the main body itself, but that's barely perceptible. Unfortunately, and this is not a Grail. Let's call it what it is. To me, this is not a Grail because it's not doing what it's supposed to do, which is be an action figure, unfortunately. However, it's not a fail because everything else is just so well done. I'm going to have to create a new category here. I think we'll call it it's a frail. It's neither a Grail nor a fail. It's a frail. If there is such a thing. Well, there is such a thing. I've just made it up. It's my channel. I can do that. So we're going to call it a frail. It's not a Grail, though. It's absolutely not a Grail, unfortunately, just because of that one thing. But that one thing is so big and so bad that unfortunately it knocks Mr. Ali out of Grail, but not into frail, just knocked him out of Grail into frail, not fail. If that makes any kind of sense at all. So there you have it, folks. That's probably the hardest video I've ever had to make. I hope you've enjoyed my suffering. What we got coming up on the channel? Well, there's a raft more episodes of Grail or Fail coming up. We have a shed load of new reviews of 6-scale figures coming from In Art, Hot Toys, Pure Art, Susu Toys, Present Toys, Caustic Plastic, Exo6, to name but a few. We've got quarter scale and third scale statue reviews, quarter scale and third scale action figure reviews. So there is a shed load of stuff coming up. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you're not missing anything. And I suppose all that remains for me to say is from myself, from the frail that is Iqonic Studios' take on Muhammad Ali, as always, take care of yourselves. Oh, and a quick caveat as well, the showcase at the end that we're just about to cut to, you won't be seeing Mr. Ali in too many dynamic poses for obvious reasons, but a massive thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves and over to the showcase.